Alright, you guys, what's going on? It's Resto, and we're going into the Destruction Warlock. Like I mentioned in the first one, we are going to make this short, sweet, and simple, focusing on what we need. Just kind of breaking down where to get the items, how I went with the gear, etc. So that way you guys can see exactly what you want to do and change however you want after that. I'm not going to go in depth on a lot of the things because Cataclysm, I am 100% positive things are going to change. There are going to be different things introduced. I just don't want to get too in depth and then have to remake another one. So I'm just going to go over the basics and that's it. Moving on to the helmet. We're looking at the crown of the Enfi blood bodies. I believe that's how it's pronounced. You go ahead and get this from, I want to say, it's Grimbatol. Let me double check. I should have been prepared. Grimbatol last boss. I'm pretty sure. Yep, last boss. It is. I got this my first run. I got super lucky. However, I don't see this being an easy one to get. But go ahead and go with the 26 intellect and 20 crit. Go ahead and get that from the Weremist, I believe that's how you pronounce, faction. So that one's a little easier to get, especially with Cataclysm. You can go ahead and train tokens to get reputation with the Justin's points. So super easy to rep up those factions now. I went with the 54 intellect and the 3% increased critical effect. Guys, when it comes to a Desperation Warlock, crit and haste are your go-to off stats. That is your must, your primary must. Mastery doesn't mean anything, so get rid of it. So I went with crit haste, crit increase on the gems with the Saka bonus. Saka bonus was worth everything to me on this, so I wanted that increased intellect for the magnitude of my spells. If you guys don't care about that, then don't go for it. However, with the 20 intellect, 20 crit gems, this does automatically pretty much give you the Saka bonuses, so you kind of, even if you don't want to go for it, you're going for it. That's if you're copying me. With the neck, I went with the Charm of the Muse. This is going to be crit hit. I went ahead and reforged the hit into haste. When it comes to hit on a caster, it's super easy to hit it. All you guys need to do is get the 4% erectile to hit. I reforged a lot of my hit, so it's still 5%, which doesn't matter. However, what you can do is take this neck. I haven't gotten it yet, but you take this neck and you can get this one instead from the Lost City. Yes, this one right here. Crit haste. If you don't want to go with that. However, you will be going down, I want to say it's like 3.94, because if you take the hit away from here, 4.34. So yeah, you'll be fine. So go ahead and go with that neck. I only have this right here because there's a lot of 85s in these BGs. So that's why I'm rocking this. However, when it comes to Cataclysm, I'll be rocking this neck. So go with the Tonka's necklace. So disregard everything I said. Go for that neck. All right, moving on to the shoulders. We're looking at the Mantle of Master Cho. I think it's, I can't see, the camera's in the way. But we're going with this. This is going to be coming from the Lost City as well. When it comes to this, go ahead and put 24 spell power and 15 crit on here. This also comes from the, I want to say, Weremist faction as well. I could be wrong, but it comes from one of the factions in Wrath of the Lich King. But you want to go ahead and get that one. When it comes to the cloak, you're looking at the Azurborn cloak. We're going to go ahead and put 70 spell pen on here for obvious reasons. We don't want any of our spells to be resisted. Like I mentioned, I like to have a threshold of 120 for my spell penetration. The most that you're going to see in Shadow is 120 resistance from the buff. And then you can have it increased by the Shaman's totems, but a lot of people don't put that totem down. So even if they do, there's no way to get around that. So you just kind of got to deal with it, kill the totem. 120 though is my threshold. That's what I go for. But this is a nice cloak to have. It's crit haste, so don't got to worry about any of that. All right, it's not crit haste. It's crit spirit. I reforged the spirit into haste. There it is. Moving on to the chest, we're looking at the Enraf. It's Regalia. I believe that's how it's pronounced. This comes from the halls. The third boss. I chose this because of the sockets that you can put in here. The other chest that you could go for if you really don't care for this is this one right here. This also comes from, I want to say, the boss on the right. I can't pronounce the name. It's like Amir or whatever. Let's figure it out. Let's figure it out together. Immune. Yeah, immune. So that's where it comes from. Immune, I believe. Construction of life. So yeah, if you don't care about that, you can go with this for the crit haste. However, this is what I recommend because you can put 50 spell pen on here to give you that, and it gives you a socket bonus. So the 20 intellect, 20 crit, right, with a 20 intellect bonus, that's 40 intellect. 40 plus 28, it's going to be 68 regardless, because you're going to have 268 intellect, but you're just getting the crit haste, right? You're getting more of that. And that's not really going to do much, and this is the reason why I went with this. When you go ahead and equip this, right, you're only getting 15% haste, which increases your spell by 0.2. All right, if you really care about that 0.2, go for it. I don't care for that, so I went with this. That way I'm getting best of both worlds, and I reforged the spirit into crit. So it's crit mastery. Yeah, I know I said crit haste, but this is the only item that makes that exception because of the gems sockets. So that's why you want to go with this and throw 20 stats on this, which comes from the 85 enchant list. Moving on to the bracers, we're looking at the Sand Silk wristband. Go ahead and put in 65 critical strike rating on this. This right here, you're reforging the hit to haste. Like I said, you have so much hit, doesn't really matter. Go ahead and take some of that away. This comes from the Gator and the Lost City. And then moving on to the weapon, we're looking at the Blade of the Burning Sun. This comes from the very last boss. Good luck with this sword. This took me forever to farm. Going ahead and putting Hurricane on this to increase your haste. If you want to put Power Torrent on it and have the 500 intellect buff instead of a haste buff, by all means go for it. That's up to you. I will say I do run the Power Torrent for demo, but I do not run it for Destro. I will be doing a demo guide because that gear is completely different from Destro. Moving on to the offhand, we're looking at the Air Raid Beacon. This comes from a quest in Twilight Highlands. You're going to go ahead and reforge the mastery to critical strike. Put 40 intellect on that. Pretty straightforward, nothing much to it. Moving on to the wand, we're looking at the Wand of Untainted Power. Already has crit haste, or it doesn't have crit haste. Comes with haste. You're going to reforge the spirit to crit. This comes from the second boss in Grybbatoll. Yes. Moving on to the gloves, this comes from a faction of the Dragonmaw clan. This is farmed out in Twilight Highlands. The Wild Hammer would be for Alliance, so for you guys, it might be a different name for the glove, but it comes from the same thing. You have to do the same thing regardless. Get this glove from the faction that you need to farm in Twilight Highlands. Get it to Honored so that way you guys can have a socket bonus on your gloves. I went with the 20 int 20 crit for the socket bonus, of course, but it's also for the off stats. Like I said, I wanted as much crit as possible, so that's what I went for. Now, when it comes to the enchant, I chose haste instead of mastery or any other enchant. Like I said, crit haste is my go-to. You do want to get up to that threshold of at least 12%. 12% for dots, obviously, but dots aren't really going to matter that much. They do make an impact, but they don't matter that much. It's more so to get your spells off. But I always do a threshold of 12% on my haste on casters, no matter what, just for that extra tick on my dots. If I went any higher, like you said, for the 15%, it only goes down to 0.2. So 12% is when the spells really start to slow down in terms of like how fast they're casted. So if you want to go full haste and have the quickest spells ever, go for it, but you're going to take a lot of tanking on your damage. Moving on to the belt, you're looking at the Belt of Mystical Betrayal. This right here, you're going to go ahead and reforge the mastery into haste and go ahead and throw on a topaz. I think it's topaz. It's a topaz gem. 20 int, 20 crit as well. Going on to the pants, you're looking at the leg wraps of Astral Rain. This was a pain to farm. I wish you all the luck when it comes to this. With these pants, they refuse to drop. They are so hard to get. The drop rate is just insane. Maybe it's just my luck on this server, but it's completely up to you. Or not completely up to you. It's completely on your RNG. This comes from Halls. A lot of your gear, guys, as an 84 Twink is going to come from Halls of Origination. That's the gold mine of all the gear. A little bit of gear is going to come from City. A little bit of gear is going to come from Grybbatoll, but mass majority is going to come from Halls. Moving on to the boots, we're looking at the sandals of the courier. We're going to go ahead and put 50 haste on this. Oh, and then we're going to put 55 intellect, 65 stamina on this one for the enchant on the legs. This is a Wrath of the Lich King enchant. I want to say it's the spell thread, greater spell thread or something like that. Yeah. Moving on to the pants, or not the pants, the boots. This right here, you're going to reforge hit to haste, so that way you have the crit haste. Like I said, you have so much hit, it doesn't matter. Same thing with the neck. You're completely taking that away, so you can get crit haste all the way. 50 haste on this. You want to boost your haste up, get to that 12% threshold. Moving on to the ring. This is the Abandoned Dark Iron Ring. Crit haste, bis. Oh my god, it's super hard to get. I had to buy it off the auction house because I have never seen it dropped on any of the tunes that I've ran Grim Patrol on, and that's basically all my 84s. I have never once seen this ring drop for the entirety of being on this server. So I don't know if that's going to change because the RNG, or not the RNG, the loot tables on this server does kind of suck. So it could be that. Cataclysm, you might see a bunch of these just because there's millions of people playing on that rather than just a couple thousand here. So take what I said about this ring with a grain of salt, but however, this is your go-to ring for Destro, and this is your go-to ring Band of Rays, also coming from the last boss in Halls. This is going to be crit hit. You're going to change the hit to haste. So these are going to be your go-to rings for Destro. Pretty much cookie cutter. Now, the trinkets. This can go many different ways. Like I mentioned in the other videos, I'm going to mention this in all the videos. I did not farm professions on my 84s because I didn't care to. I'm testing things. I'm wanting to see, you know, how things are, how they perform, what classes I want to level, etc. That's kind of why I also made the videos to help you guys determine that for you without having to waste your time on this server. With the first profession, you have options. Either engineering, obviously for the gadgets, you know, that's best, or you can go with a profession that benefits your stats. So what I mean by that is for a caster, you can go with tailoring and get a cloak enchant or the leg enchant. However, I wouldn't recommend changing out the cloak enchant unless you're going to put more spell pen gems somewhere around here, anywhere. But then you'll be losing out on some stats. So don't really recommend changing out the cloak. It's more so for the other stuff. Or you can go jewel crafting for the increased of gems. So that is completely up to you whether you guys want to do that or not. That could be an option that you could do for the spell pen. You'll be a little under 120 because I think the highest it goes is 86 for the jewel crafting gel pen, spell pen. So that's completely up to you if you guys want to go JC. I recommend engineering as a Destro Warlock. Just personally, seeing how the class performs, it can be very squishy. There's not really many exits from people training you other than Shadow Fury and Coil. Those are your only two. So if you have engineering, you have bombs to get away. You have the boots to get away. So I personally wouldn't recommend going with those other two. However, if you really don't care about the gadgets, go for those two professions, whatever one you want to go with. But I would recommend engineering. The second one is going to be alchemy. Every single class, whether you're an 81 twink, whether you're an 80 twink, 82, 83, 84. Yes, you can be 82 or 83 twinks. Alchemy is going to be the go-to because of that trinket. That trinket is too good to pass up. Now, when it comes to the trinket setup, this is what I mean by you have options. So this right here, the haste one, can be swapped out for the alchemy, right? The alchemy trinket is going to be a crit trinket. So not crit trinket, a haste trinket. So it's 194 haste, but it comes with a gel socket bonus. So yes, you're losing a little bit more haste, but if you really want, you can throw a haste gem into it and bump it up past 200. Completely up to you. Or you can put something completely different into it. You can put a crit gem, or you can put another 20 and 20 crit. Completely up to you. Or even a pure intellect gem. Completely up to you. This gem can also be swapped out. The Sorrow Song. It's a mastery. As you know, you don't need mastery. However, I don't use it specifically for mastery. I didn't reforge this into crit either. I don't know why I didn't do that. So that you would reforge mastery into crit because you don't need mastery. But I mainly go for this for the bonus that you get with spell power. Super nice to have 1500 spell power bonus. So with this, same thing as well. This increases your spell power by 15. It's not really that great. I literally only use this trinket for the haste. That is the only reason why. The buff is absolutely useless. Do not recommend having this long term. So that's why I said swap this out for the alchemy, so that way you have a gem sock and you have haste, so it's technically helping you out. But this right here, you can either have Sorrow Song for the spell power increase, or you can put the medallion on here, so that way you have a way of getting out of trinkets or out of stuns. Completely up to you on what you want to do there. But those are the options that you can have. This 100% swap it out for the alchemy. This right here, you can either run Sorrow Song like I am, or you can put on the Medallion of the Horde or Alliance. Completely up to you. If you find yourself being trained a ton and you just can't get out of stuns, throw this on. If you are really good with positioning and you know how to manage yourself in PvP, go ahead and put this on. It's super nice to have. Just reforge the mastery into crit. That's the only thing. Otherwise, we're going to move on to the talents. So with the talents, this is what I'm running for destruction. It's pretty cookie cutter. There's really not much to it. There's not really anything I'd really swap around, if I'm going to be honest with you. Demonic Embrace increases your total stamina. You definitely want this. That way you're increasing your stamina in total. Right now I have 100k unbuffed, so super nice. And then Dark Arts is what I'm running for this as well. Reduces the cast time of your Imp's Firebolt by 50.5. It increases the damage by your Fel Guards, Legion Strike by 10%, and increases the damage done by your Fel Hunter's Shadow Bite by 10%. So I, as a Destro Warlock, like to jump between depending on exactly what I'm facing. Either the Fel Hunter or the Succubus. Completely up to you and what you run. A lot of people are going to run the Fel Hunter, and a lot of people are going to run the Succubus for two reasons. One, you got a CC. Two, you got a sleep. The Succubus is super nice as well for the knockback, right? When it comes down to that sleep, you can use that to your advantage to get a cast off. This, all you're doing is interrupting it, but you get a damage increase from this talent as well. So I do swap back and forth in between these, depending on like if there's a lot of casters, if there's a lot of melee, I go with Succubus. So it really just depends on what's going on. What's really nice with having this as well, let's say you do have a lot of casters and you're on Warsong Gulch. You need to kill the FC. I would use Succubus to put to sleep the other guy, right? Constantly sleeping them while I'm attacking the FC. Right, that's another good setup that you can do if you have other people around you. You're constantly having someone put out of the match. Whereas this is only a 1 CC, but it is increased damage. So it's all situational. It's all preference, completely up to you. But this is basically a cookie cutter build of what you can run with Destro. This is what I run with Destro. What I found works best for me. This is super nice as well. The Nether Ward transforms it into a Shadow Ward, into the Nether Ward. Super, super, super nice to have that damage be absorbed, because you are a squishy Warlock when it comes to Destro. There's not a lot to really mess with in terms of like defensiveness. So other than your armor, but that's about it. Like I said, you do have Coil, you do have Shadow Fury. Shadow Fury does come in clutch, but it's sometimes not enough. So anyways, this is the talents. Glyphs, what you got going on here is the Glyph of Conflagrate. This is all cookie cutter, guys. I wouldn't recommend anything else other than what I have right here. Glyph of Conflagrate, reducing the Conflagrate by 2 seconds. Shadow Burn and Immolate. You got Glyph of Hellstone, Glyph of Demonic Circle, Glyph of Shadow Flame. This right here is a must. Oh my god, is it a must for destruction? It is a nice kiting mechanic. Take this. Do not pass it. And Glyph of Drained Soul restores 10% of your total mana after you kill a target that yields experience. This is nice if you don't want to sacrifice your health. Glyph of Unending Breath, and Glyph of Enslaved Demon. Like I said, there's not really much to go when it comes down to this. You can have Curse of Exhaustion, you know, increases that if you're, or not Curse of Exhaustion, that's for a different spec, maybe. Other things like Health Funnel and all this stuff, if you want to go with that, completely up to you. But like I said, there's really not much to really mess around here. This is basically your go-to. But like I said, these videos are getting a little longer than I expected, but it is what it is. But this is going to be the end of the Destro Warlock. Next, I'll have Demo. So hope you guys are enjoying this. Hope you guys are learning something new. Like I said, I will go more in depth when the other guides come out, so I can teach you guys like more of how the class operates, how to perform with it, etc. I'll dive more in depth in those aspects. But right now, I'm just focusing on the main gifs of what you guys need. I'm talking over it so that way you guys can learn and see why I chose what I chose. Other than that, stay tuned for the next videos. It's been Resto, guys. See you guys next time.